Do you find, Thomas, that that companies actually know where they have the problem, or do they need help to even just pinpoint that?
The answer is you hear a lot of companies talk about creative fatigue. You hear a lot of companies talk about more creative, more volume, more models, more hooks, more concepts, right? And being great at creative because that's going to be what allows you to scale. Um, yes, but that's a lot like throwing darts at a board where you're blindfolded. You're just like, I'm going to take a lot of darts, I'm going to throw them at the board and hope I end up hitting a bullseye and find that audience that's going to, find that creative, that influencer, that, concept, that messaging that's going to work really well. That is one method you can do. It can be very expensive and you could hit it or you could not. And you could spend 6 months, you could spend a year until you find a message, a concept, a model that works. What this does is it actually says, you know what? Instead of just throwing darts at the board and spending a bunch of money on creative every single week, working with different, a lot of work, right, to produce content. Let's actually figure out exactly what content we should produce and go and just produce that. And so you can take a creative budget that might be something along the lines of like 30, 40, 50 grand a month and say, bring it down to 10 grand a month because you pick the exact concept, targeting the exact vertical that you need to go after, and with the perfect messaging that's going to either move people from awareness consideration or consideration to conversion, because it's tackling the exact thing that we see that we're actually missing on for that ICP. When you say like, do companies really know? The answer is no, they don't actually know. And then they all of a sudden have a creative that hits and they go, oh my gosh, maybe this hit because it's hitting a different demographic, or maybe this hit because it's this person, and they don't actually even know at that point. It gives them a little bit of light into seeing, oh, maybe we were missing that audience, and so then they start to iterate on that. And so it's a lot like, being blindfolded and throwing darts at a board, or, being blindfolded and walking around, like trying to find your way through a maze. Whereas, doing this survey data in order to understand where your gaps are in awareness, consideration, and conversion, you can quickly like zoom out, look at the maze and be like, we need to go this way, and we'll quickly get to the finish line.
That's fantastic, because it's not just about like the demographics and the audience.